The Tennessee Agriculture Enhancement Program, the TAEP, the project that we got awarded this year was a freezer trailer. So we'll have more efficient transportation of our beef when we pick up. It allowed for so many things. There's efficiency. It also, allowed us to go ahead and get our Tennessee beef license, because to be in that category for the producer diversification, you have to work towards getting your, I think it's called the Tennessee beef license, these things. But we have a license that we got a 100% score. To do that, you had to say that you were in the process of getting your license. So that's allowed us to be able to not just do custom beef, which custom beef is where people are buying the live animals out of the field in certain size shares. When you sell custom beef, we weren't selling beef by the pound. We were selling live animals, and we still do that. It's perfectly, that's a normal thing to do. But this takes it to the next step, where we can be at a farmer's market. For example, this weekend, I'll be at Jonesboro Farmer's Market, and we had our first animal done in a USDA processing facility. So it's labeled and packaged by the pound, and people could come to the farm and buy it. People can buy it at the farmer's market. So by having that freezer trailer, that's kind of stepped up, our whole beef selling scheme to now have multifaceted, outlets. And then, you generally sell retail beef a little bit higher by the pound than like people that buy the live animals. So it also shows that, if people buy a larger amount with a custom beef share, they're getting better value for their poundage than when somebody buys just the 1 pound of ground beef. I like having both, because now it's showing, people are like, oh, well, maybe we should think about, signing up for a custom beef share, because we're going to get a better price per pound than just coming and buying, 1 package of ground beef at a time and having to pay this much for it. So I think we're really huge advocates for the custom beef, but I do like having the retail option of being able to do that. And it was neat going through that whole process. That was the project for this year. It's a trailer, and we can put 6 whole beefs. We built it out to be able to handle 6 whole beefs. So it's a good amount of storage, and it's portable, and we can sell out of it. So it's kind of neat, I guess, in that way. That's what freezer trailers are supposed to be, I suppose. But we kind of did it, custom ourselves, as opposed to buying just a freezer trailer. We found it to be more cost efficient. And the TAEP, they do like you to try to find things that are most cost effective. So just this is for example, if we had bought the whole freezer trailer that was already put together, we would have maxed out our $24,000. So they would have had to give us back $12,000. And when we did this way, we've spent a lot less money. So it's making the money go further, if I guess that's the point. So as long as you stay in the same line, you can change around. So
yeah, the Tennessee Agriculture Enhancement Program, I believe the origins came from like tobacco, and kind of shifting the funds out of the tobacco allotment funds. And then it's become a really great resource for farmers, and it's branched out from just cattle, dairy, which was and hay equipment, to biodiversity, or vegetable farms, and the schedule, application B, which it's a wide plethora, pretty much covers every farm enterprise, and it has been extremely helpful as a cost share. We are a master cost share program. There's 2 different reimbursements. You can either get 30% reimbursement, or if you take extra classes, you're 50% reimbursement. We are a certified organic farm, so we automatically get a 50% by being certified organic. That is our educational component. So there is, for a honey producer or a vegetable producer, or even a row cropper, or tailgate markets, I believe, or even in the TAEP grant, is you would do an educational component where you'd go to an extension office and you'd get your educational hours, and then that would bump you up 20% over the course of the year. And so for us, we've built a barn, a pack shed is what we were using it as, and now it's moved into just storage and other things, but that gave us a 50% cost share on a large investment. One of the challenges of TAEP it's a challenge initially, but then once you work it into your flow of your farm budget and growth, it's no longer a burden. But initially, you have to put up all the money up front. So you have to spend, I think with the application B, you can get up to $25,000. It might be $30,000 in reimbursement, and you get a 50% of that money back. And so, so you have to spend $30,000, you get $15,000 back. But it's been super helpful. Now we're like each year, we're like, okay, what new enterprise could we use new equipment? That is also a drawback. The blessing is you have to buy new equipment in order to use it. We try to stick with Tennessee-based businesses. Sometimes we go to Ohio. Occasionally, rarely, we go overseas to either Austria for a mill, for a grain mill, or to Canada. And so it just depends. But we try to stick to Tennessee businesses. We started out with planting equipment. We've got a plastic mulch layer now through there. We bought a flail mower, which was able to help incorporate cover crops and then able to flip the field more quickly. The way TAEP looked at that was that that we're able to then increase our farm production because we're now using a cover crop, helping biodiversity, flail mowing that, incorporating it back into the ground, and instead of taking a week or two in between a crop when we might not be able to fit in another crop, we're able to then incorporate that biomass back into the soil, decrease nitrogen usage if we plant the right cover crops. We've bought a water wheel planter, which has helped us to operate with 2 people or a small crew, saving time on transplanting and more efficiency. Now we're able to use cultivation equipment because we're laid up on a grid. We're going to get greenhouse doors for this greenhouse this year. This year we're also going to get more field cultivation equipment. And then moving into 2026, we're going to be requesting a potato veggie washer and possibly a new potato planter. I might buy that used because I can get that for about $1,000 and a new one's about $4,000 to $5,000. So I kind of weigh that of like, is it worth it to buy a new piece of equipment, spending $4,000 to $5,000 times the amount that you could on a used piece of equipment? The life of that equipment, obviously, new piece of equipment obviously lasts longer. That was what I was kind of complaining about with the grant, is you can only buy new equipment. But that again stimulates local businesses because now they're producing, or American businesses, because now we're buying a new product from. So it's not just the farm that's benefiting; it's the whole economy. We're increasing tax revenue with TAEP. So now TAEP is we're paying more sales tax. We're paying all these different things. So it's a benefit not just to the state of Tennessee financially, but infrastructural and mid-tier businesses benefit from it. But like a potato washer is a great one where it's better to buy a new one, so that you're then able to have a nice fresh piece of equipment. Whereas used, you're going to be repairing it. Those nozzles are going to be broken. The brushes are going to be torn. So it's nice. And that's inexpensive. That's like a $5,000, $6,000 piece of equipment that then is now only for us $3,000 or half the cost of whatever it would be new.
And that's the tendency of a lot of farmers, I think, is that, well, there's this piece of equipment that I need that's on Facebook Marketplace or being sold down the road for $500. Great, that's in my budget. Oh, it's falling apart. So how many years is this going to last us? And we have the tendency to go for it because we need it now. But TAEP has allowed us to invest in that 5-year, 10-year. We know that this is, if we buy these nice greenhouse doors, it's something better than what we would build. And they're going to be more insulated for us. So it's hard to bite that cost up front, but you know that you're going to get it once that year comes around.
And then back to incorporating what enterprises do we need new equipment that would make us more efficient. And then that's part of writing the TAEP grant, is they are asking, so this potato washer, how are you generating more income on the farm? How are you making it more, how are you being more efficient with it? So then we'll come up, then we'll have a budget. And we've already been doing now sweet potatoes for X amount of years. We know that if we can wash potatoes, that they're more appealing. We're cutting our time in by probably 80%. Of manual labor of either just rinsing or even hand washing those. And then TAEP would look at that. The Department of Agriculture would look at like, oh, well, Two Stones Farm and Mill now can all of a sudden grow now 5 acres. They have been growing a half acre, been selling it, making us money. Now all of a sudden, now they might grow 3 acres, and so our crop sales are increasing. And so that's how they look at funding us for this project.
Yeah, and throughout the year, because it opens, you can count on some grants just pop up out of the blue, and it's not a convenient time to apply for a grant. Things are hectic. But we know that come October, we need that list of our wish list throughout the year of what we want, and we can go for it. They do have suggested items on the application of what you can and clearly can't apply for. So that is helpful, because some things I wanted to push, but that's not justified in this grant. And it is helpful to say, look at their list and see something that may fit in our realm for grain specifically that may be geared towards vegetable production.
And the Producer B grant is different. The A, which is for livestock, row crops, and hay, those guys actually just get checked off for the most part. They ask for a hay rake, they get a new hay rake. And so it's only a 30% unless they're a master beef producer or they have over, and the barrier of entry for that is higher. They have to have 100 head of cattle, they have to do X amount of row crops. And so the Department of Agriculture saw a while ago that the bee producers weren't being served. There was a large amount, so if they could find, and it is more of a, and you have to pitch them.